Guys, it's been a few days since the release of a new immigration update from IRCC, and I decided to wait a bit after the news to do this video for you guys because I really needed to digest the new announcements. I really needed to digest what really is happening because these are some big changes. So for those of you who didn't know, IRCC announced on the 22nd of January that there will be some major changes to the study permit and spousal open work permit process. And to be honest, it was surprising to me because back in December they had already made some big changes. Hey guys, as you can see, I've changed my location, but I wanted to finish this video and wrap it up and let you guys know what's up. So there have been some recent changes to the study permit and the open work permit application process here in Canada. These changes were announced on the 22nd of January by the Education Minister. Let me break down what has changed. First of all, there's going to be a cap placed on the amount of international students that Canada will accept for 2 years. There will be a cap for Canada itself, which is estimated at about 360,000 study permit applications, which is less than half of what Canada accepted in just the past year alone. That figure is estimated to be 900,000 international students. So just to give you an idea of how drastically that they have cut the amount of international students that they will be admitting into Canada. Then that number will be further divided or allotted to each province and territory to decide which schools will be getting a certain amount or allowed a certain amount of international students per year. So starting on the 22nd of January 2024, each study permit application will now need an attestation letter from the province that the school is in order for that study permit to even be processed. Now, since this is a new measure, the government has given the provinces until the 31st of March this year to get a proper system in place to know how they're going to be dealing or how they're going to be issuing their attestation letters. Another significant change is that persons who are pursuing master's or doctorate degree programs will soon be allowed a 3-year work permit upon graduation. Another change, or the third change, is that persons who are pursuing a course that has a curriculum licensing program attached to it, they will no longer be eligible for a postgraduate work permit, even if they are studying at a DLI. And the fourth change is that spouses of international students who are attending colleges or even pursuing bachelor degree programs will no longer be allowed to apply for an open work permit. Currently, or before this announcement, once you are the spouse of an international student who is attending a DLI and you meet certain conditions, then you'd be eligible to apply for an open work permit. But in the coming weeks, that will no longer be so. Your spouse will need to be doing a master's degree or higher level of education in order to apply for a spousal open work permit. One question that's on a lot of persons' minds, especially for those who are currently international students like myself, is how do these changes affect current international students who are already in Canada or who already have their study permit? And the answer is that these changes don't affect you if you are currently an international student in Canada and you have been meeting your study permit conditions, or if you have already been approved for your study permit but you're not yet in Canada. So these changes won't apply to you once you've had your study permit before the announcement was made, which is before the 22nd of January. And the same thing applies to spouses of international students who currently hold an open work permit. These changes wouldn't affect those persons either because they are already in Canada, or they would have already been issued their open work permit, spousal open work permit, before the 22nd of January. What about those who are looking to apply for their postgraduate work permit? Do these changes affect you? Depending on your school, once your school is a designated learning institution before the announcement and you are currently enrolled, fulfilling all the conditions that have been laid out by IRCC, these announcements will not affect your eligibility to apply for a postgraduate work permit. So just to clear up a few things, once you have submitted your study permit application before the 22nd of January, or if your spouse submitted their application for their open work permit before the 22nd of January, these changes do not apply, even if the study permit or the open work permit is still processing. Once you have applied before that date, these changes would not apply to you. What about going forward? Now, with the new changes, an attestation letter will be needed for every study permit that application that is sent in. And since this is a very new announcement or process, the provinces and territories are still rolling out what this process will look like from a provincial level, as well as the schools will now have to integrate and be a part of that entire process. So it is expected that there are going to be significant delays with study permit processing. So guys, that's the news I wanted to share about these new changes that IRCC has announced for the coming months and weeks going into fall 2024. Let me know in the comments, what were your guys' first thoughts? What did you think when you heard all of these changes? Did these changes come as a surprise to you, or were you kind of expecting it? And if you're currently in the process of applying, does this affect your chances of applying and being successful in your study permit process? My advice to you would be to reach out to the school that you or schools that you were thinking of applying to and see if they can give you some guidance on the way forward. If you've already applied or if you've already been accepted to the school and you have not yet submitted your study permit, I would also encourage you to reach out to the school and see what are the next steps that you need to take. As I mentioned, there's expected to be significant delays with the study permit process, so you're going to have to prepare for that, unfortunately. Oh guys, to be honest, when I heard all of these changes, I was shocked. That's the first thing that came over me. That's the first thought that came to my mind, that this news is shocking. Because if you guys remember, there was a very significant change recently for international students, that the proof of funds requirement was doubled. You had to now show almost 21,000 Canadian dollars separate from your first year tuition fees in order to meet the proof of funds or the financial requirements to apply for a study permit. So when I saw that they further had changes for international students, I was honestly so shocked. And as an international student myself, the next thing that came to my mind is, how does this affect me? Is this going to affect me? Is this going to affect my spouse? Because my spouse is here on an open work permit as well. So all of these thoughts came rushing through my mind. And that's one of the reasons why I did not put out a video on this sooner, because I wanted the time to fully digest and go through this new information that was being put out and, see exactly how this is going to affect me before I'm able to speak about it, and to understand it and be able to give you guys accurate information as well. I know a lot of people were shaken up by the proof of funds requirements, and this is going to even further shake them up and create challenges on their application process, their study permit application process. So guys, I really want to encourage you, take a step back. Now is the time. Take a step back, reevaluate. Is Canada still the goal for you? A lot of people are probably going to have to go back to the drawing board and see how they can work with these new changes. Unfortunately, not everyone is going to still have Canada on their wish list or on their vision board because it's no longer attainable for them. Guys, the immigration scene is forever changing. And it's unfortunate that these changes have come at such a time so close together back to back. It's put a wrench in a lot of persons' wheel. But I want to encourage you, if Canada is still the goal, if Canada is still on your minds for 2024, even if it means trying another route, don't give up. Remember your why, remember your motivation for why you started this process in the first place. Whether you are in the researching stage, whether you have put steps in place to start the process, don't give up if Canada is really what you want for 2024. So guys, we've come to the end of the video. If you found something useful or valuable in this video, please like the video and share it with someone who you think would benefit as well. Subscribe to my channel. I post videos weekly where I share my experience as an international student here in Canada, as well as being a newcomer to the city of Medicine Hat in beautiful Alberta. See you in another video.